Hello, everyone, and welcome to Psychic Cafe Live. Grab your coffee or tea, pull up a chair, and let's hang out. It's Sunday, February 15th, right after Valentine's Day. Got a message to end the week about that coming up in just a second here. As always, I wanted to mention that if you're one of our members at the Tarot Guild, you can join me up here on camera. That's right. You can join us live on the Zoom calls during the simulcast on YouTube, and you can hang out, talk about tarot, do readings with us, or get a reading. Yep, you don't have to be a professional tarot reader to join the guild. And it's a great way to jump the line besides buying us a cup of coffee. We'll tell you about that in a second, but you can actually join us up on Zoom. So you're going to get priority, plus mentoring and coaching for our students, as well as uh, let's put it this way, aspiring tarot professionals, or maybe you've been doing this 20, 30 years and you need some help. So if you go to tarotbiz.com/Zoom, you'll get an explanation of all that and how to find the let me put that in the chat, how to find the Zoom links and join the guild if you're not already a member. And let's see, speaking of that, here's our new community on School. Let's see, I got to find it. That's the link right there. thetarotguild.com/community will take you over there. And I'm not seeing the banner. There it is. Oh, okay. And it's got the link on there. thetarotguild.com/community will take you right over. Of course, if you're on school.com, in their discovery section, you can just search Tarot Biz. We'll come right up. As you can see on there, big yellow join button. It's only $5 a month currently right now. It's going up to $9 shortly. So get in on that special. Yes. And so this is our private community, members only. There's a couple of different levels of membership, but you get mostly everything at the $5 level. It's just that some of our offerings are a la carte, whereas the premium membership, you get everything included. So you can check all that out over on the School community and go to tarotbiz.com, our main website, to read more. And if you want to get a hold of any of us in between live shows, just go to tarotbiz.com/readings. You can book readings with us. You can get, you'll see our websites or our page, and you'll see all of the contact information. We have our social medias up there as well. All right. So today we're going to be talking about pricing your services. Stop undercharging, the formula for pricing your tarot readings. Before that, though, let's do the message to wrap up the week here. And I got the Three of Swords. Oh, I see Michelle's in the chat room. Hey, Michelle, you made it. She said, I made it. Yes, you did. Welcome aboard. And it's really quiet today. I don't know if people are out running around doing things, but hopefully a few more people will come in, or just like Michelle's show yesterday, it might be a short show. We'll just do our topic and let you know what's coming up the rest of the week and get out of here. Oh, there's Pamela. Hey, Pam. Pam's popping in here. So I'm just doing a message to wrap up the week. I got the Three of Swords. When I pulled this card, I chuckled a little bit because I was thinking, oh my gosh, right after Valentine's Day, the Three of Swords. I mean, that's almost perfect, right? So coming off the back of Valentine's Day, this card acknowledges that for many, yesterday may have highlighted a sting of loneliness, a sharp disappointment, or a hard truth about a relationship. While the Three of Swords represents a piercing moment of pain, its true purpose is liberation through honesty. Do not let a temporary heartache define your worth. Instead, use this weekend to release the illusions that were holding you back. This heart surgery is simply clearing the space for a more authentic love to enter. Honor your feelings, breathe through the discomfort, and trust that you are now lighter and more prepared for a genuine connection that you deserve. Here's a master tip. Sometimes the universe breaks your heart just enough to let the sun shine through that light of truth to come in. Heartbreak or disappointment is often just the surgery required for removing what was blocking your growth. Here's an insight. The Three of Swords is unique because the swords are piercing a heart that's still whole. The pain is real, but the core of who you are remains intact. And just to wrap things up, here's an action step. Ask yourself, what is a hard truth I've been avoiding about a person or a situation? And how does finally admitting it to myself actually set my heart free? There you go. So there's the card of the day, card to wrap up this week. And on Tuesday's show, I will have a message for next week. I know, I guess technically I should do that. Oh, I messed that up. Technically, I should do that, I guess, on Mondays, but nobody likes Monday, So we just skip Monday and we just go right to Tarot Tuesday. How are you doing, Pamela? You're muted.
I am. That's what I was looking for, was the unmute
Where's the
thing.
button?
The dog ate it, except I don't have a dog, so I can't really blame that. So far so good. Still on this side of the dirt, so it must be a good day. But I didn't even know if I was going to make it because I'm doing I'm designing. Have you all heard about StarCon
Yeah.
in Florida? Okay. All right. Well, Christiana got a hold of me last week and asked if I would be willing to. Every year they have a different artist, a guest artist that draws the pixie, fairy, whatever you want to call it. And I know there's a difference. Don't give me any about that. But anyway, she asked me if I would be willing to do it. Now, it's not until October, but they need to start their campaign right away. So I've probably
Yeah.
got till Wednesday to get this back to them. And I'm roughly a quarter of the way done because you know how meticulous I am and how fussy I
Yeah.
am. And so the
I'm a
first thing I did,
perfectionist. I know.
yeah, I know. And so the first thing I did was ask John, what do you need? Like 300 DPI, 12 inches tall TIFF. And he wrote back, perfect. So I went, yeah, okay. And I'm learning Clip Studio, which is not my friend so far. So what I did was I talked Photoshop into working with Windows 11 just long enough to get this done, because Photoshop I don't even have to think about. I've got my drawing tablet. I can sit
Yeah.
there and start. I can draw and I know where everything is. I don't even have to look. Clip Studio, it's like me trying to learn Chinese right now. So yeah, but anyway, I made it sure that I would have an hour this morning to come here and say hi to everyone because I've been trying to every Sunday. And hi.
Yay. I'm so glad you could join us. Well, it might not even be a whole hour. Yesterday's show was, it was a little slow for Michelle because, well, people are
Wednesday.
it's Valentine's Day. People are doing breakfasts and lunches and brunches, and we're right. The show time is right. At least on the West Coast, is right there in the brunch time. 11 a.m. to 12. My time 12 to 1. Your time 12 to 1. And yeah, people are getting ready for special events and dinners and getting their clothing ready and their presents ready and all that kind of stuff. And I figured today would be kind of slow too. we have a little topic which will only literally it's only going to take 5-10 minutes. I mean, this is an easy one that we've covered multiple times, but I thought it was good to revisit that. I see Dr. Rose is in the chat. Astrid, hi Astrid. Who else came in? I know Mashir. I think that's it. Yep. So yeah. Uh what was it I was going to mention? You brought up Photoshop. Oh, that's right. After the beginning of the year, I was paying like $10 for Photoshop a month.
Up here
And
it's 50.
well, it depends on what you get. You got to remember, I got this years ago when, yeah, they had the creative suite, which costs a lot of money per month, 50, 60, $70 a month, whatever it is now. But you could get individual programs. I mean, back in the day, I just bought the program, you know,
Yeah.
but but that was for Windows. Now I'm on Mac, so I'd have to rebuy it, and it's getting harder and harder to even find working copies anymore. Uh, there's jury rig ways of doing it, but I thought to myself, you know what? I can get they had something called the photographer's plan, where it was Photoshop, Lightroom, I think Lightroom, a couple other things, a whole bunch of things I don't even use, right? Not the whole creative suite. It's mostly Photoshop and a couple of things. And it was $10 a month, maybe 10.95, 11 a month. I don't know, something like that. Well, come January, I get my bill and it's 16.95. And yeah, again, it's not a lot. It's not a lot, but it kind of pissed me off because number one, I never got any notification that the prices were changing. Number two, I'm getting tired of all these damn subscriptions, you know? When I switched to Mac, the video editing program, a very expensive program. I mean, it was 450, 500, $600, somewhere in that range. Nobody even knows this one. This is not Final Cut Pro, Premiere Pro from the Adobe suite, DaVinci Resolve. Those are the three big ones. This was another company, but I knew it so well, right? But when Apple Silicon came out in 2021, I got my computer 2021, 2022, right in there, December, January. And it wasn't optimized for Apple Silicon, which is a completely different chip architecture to the Windows machines, which are still running 86X. And so I had to get a new program. And yeah, I had Photoshop. Oh, I could just get Premiere Pro, but it was going to cost, you know, $50 a month at least, And then I discovered DaVinci Resolve, which they have a more professional level, but you get 95, 98% of everything in the free version. And so I've been on the free version since 2022 when I got the Mac. And I may someday, if I have to, in 5 years, I've not needed it. But if I have to, go up to the more premium level, you just pay a set fee, 250, 300, and you have it for life, you know. And so when Photoshop came out, when Adobe came out with raising the prices and everything, I'm like, you know what? I got to find an alternative, just like I did for video editing. So I'm looking at Affinity, and one that I really like is browser based, and it's really close to Adobe Photoshop. I mean, almost identical, but it runs on your browser and it's free. And I actually use a special browser for that separate. I use the Brave browser separate because it automatically blocks pop-ups. And because this is free on a browser, they put ads. But if you run it on the Brave browser, those never all pop up, which it takes some of your screen real estate when you're trying to work with whatever you're working with. In photo, I was going to say Photoshop. It's Photopea, Photopea, Photopea. I call it Photopea. Anyway, and so by using the Brave browser, it gets rid of those ads, and you have more real estate to move your images and do all your work and stuff like that. So I still have Photoshop, but I'm trying to learn Affinity. I'm trying to learn Photopea, and hopefully before it renews on the 10th of next month, I'm going to no more Adobe. Going to get
It's
yes.
absolutely ridiculous. Honestly, it is because I mean I've been running Photoshop
Mm-hmm.
since 2000,
Mm-hmm.
and every time when I first picked up CS6, I was so lost. I knew a friend of mine, they had a computer shop in town, and I knew that she ran it all the time. She's brilliant, right? So I actually walked into to the, the store there, and I tracked her down. I actually went to the back because I knew everybody there, and I says, I've got $100 bill in my pocket. Would you please come to my house and show me how to run this stupid program before I fire everything out the door? And she said, I'd love to. So she came and sat down with me for about 3 hours and showed me what all the tabs did. And 3 months later, I taught two other people how to run it. It's not hard, but it's just that learning curve. And I'm doing the same thing now with Clip. But my
Clip.
granddaughter, yeah, Clip Studio, love it. It's freaking, it does everything and more. It does animation, it does everything. Okay. But
Mm-hmm.
there's that learning curve again. But I've got a 23-year-old granddaughter who's really mastered it over the years. So yeah, guess what? She gets to teach me. Yay!
Mm-hmm.
I
Oh,
taught a bunch of
uh,
stuff, so she gets to teach me.
yeah, yeah, that's how it works. And I do that a lot for my, family and friends because, you know, I what I found is because of the learning curve, people get frustrated real quick, and even if I don't know the technology or the software, I just don't get frustrated. I just play around with it till I figure it out. And I use AI and I Google everything and then I show them, you know. But if it's something I know how to do, like Photoshop or something, I just show them, or websites, or how to change the DNS settings on your URL for your website, or anything like that. I thought of something else. I also had Microsoft, and so Word and spreadsheets, and I can't even think of all the stuff that comes with that. And it was only like $7 a month, you know and it works on Mac. So when I got the Mac, I just downloaded the Mac versions, and but
Oracle does everything Word does, and it's free.
but the MacBook comes with an entire suite of free applications.
Cool.
They call it, what do they call it? They call it like Pages is their word, right? And then they have, all the things that are in the Microsoft suite. They have free versions. So it's just the learning curve. So I force myself to learn these new programs, and then I got rid of Microsoft. So that was another subscription out the window. Um, as soon as I get rid of Photoshop, I am subscriptionless, and I can do absolutely everything that everybody, pays for all these different subscriptions, whether it's something as simple as Word or more complex like a video editor or Photoshop, or, all these different things that people use. Um, I have it all free. And yes, there's a lot of
Yep.
other free versions as well. These are just the ones that I found first, and including the ones that came free on here. Now, I did want to mention Apple does have a new subscription model, and that's because um, even though you get these all free, they do have things like their word processor. Listen to me. That's Notes, or rather, what is it called? It's called Pages. See, I don't even remember the names. I just know I can use it. I know the icon. I click it and I just type something up. No, I was talking about video editing. So like they have Final Cut, I think is the Apple one, and it costs X amount, whatever it costs. Um, but they have a subscription that's really cheap, and I think. And don't quote me on this because this is new and I don't need it, so I'm not paying attention to it really. But like $15 a month, or $15 or sorry, $15 a month, or 150 a year. But it includes all those expensive programs that you had to pay separately for now. And it
Mm.
includes new versions of like Pages and all the stuff that comes free. It still comes free if you buy a Mac. And you can use those versions. I've actually switched my Pages over to the new version that they have, but I don't have a subscription because I don't need all the other stuff. So I'm not doing the subscription. But if you're wanting to do a subscription and you need Photoshop and you need Final Cut Pro and all these things from Adobe, right? And then from Microsoft, like Word and spreadsheets and all the different ones. I can't even think of them all. Um, Apple has all of those in this one subscription for $15. So instead of paying out, by the time you add it all up, you're spending about $100 a month or more for all your subscriptions. You can just get one. If you're using Apple products, if you have an iPad, if you have an iPhone, if you have, or if you just have a Mac like I do, um, I have them all, but I mostly this is, productivity I like doing on the Mac. So I like the big screen. If you have a Mac, this isn't helping all you people out there, the Windows people, but if you want to get rid of all your subscriptions, I'm telling you, it's worth it to get the Apple subscription, especially when it's just like $15 a month. You're good. $150 for the year. Some people are paying $150 a month in subscriptions for all these different softwares and things and everything. And you can get it all, in this inexpensive one. So I just wanted to mention that for anybody. We're a guild for professionals, and yeah, it's not just how you pull the cards, it's how you run your business. And if you need help
That's
with
what we're talking about.
yeah, and if you need any help with that, that's what I'm here for. And you can get free advice when you join us on these Zoom calls, like I've been telling. And if you don't like being on camera on YouTube like we are now, once a week on Thursdays, we do a private Zoom call. So you just join for $5 a month, and you can join us on these Zoom calls and ask anything that you want. And then if you want one-on-one, if interestingly, our higher level, we have the $5 a month standard membership. Our premium membership is the same as Microsoft. It's $15 a month or 150 a year. I thought that was hilarious when I saw that. I'm like, see, I priced it right, or Apple listened to me. Anyway, one or the other. But but yeah, at the $15 level, you per month, you get 2 hours of free tech support from me. But even at the $5 level per month, we have a discounted rate, 2 hours for $99. So there you go. I just wanted to let you guys know about that. So let's talk a little bit about stop undercharging, the formula for pricing your tower readings. Is there a secret formula? Not really. In fact, there's actually multiple ways of figuring this out. And I can give you some examples, but the main point that I want to get out there, Pamela, is a shift in your thinking. What people do when they price products and services that don't know what they're doing. what they do is they look at what's going on in the market and they look at what other people are charging. And by the way, if you look in the market, which now the market is worldwide, because why? We can do readings on Zoom. Yay. But a lot of people are still doing local readings. They'll look at, go to psychic fairs, see what people are charging, get their brochure and see what their prices are, for private readings. Online, you can just scour around and find out, but you're going to find out it's all over the place, from $20 to $200 to 500 to $7 to $1,000. It's all over the place, but the majority seem to be under $100. And for years now, I mean, this is going back decades, I've been telling Tarot Guild members, you are way undervaluing yourself and way undervaluing your readings, and it actually hurts the industry. It hurts the industry because we're not charging what we should be. And what I tell people is, if a massage therapist in your area, or a psychotherapist or a plumber is, all these, look at all the professionals, bare minimum, everybody seems to be in that. That plumber's not coming out to even look at your problem unless you pay him $150.
Unless he's your nephew and he owes you big time.
That's right. So get a nephew. But for the rest of us, $150, is the professional minimum in most places. Now, if you live in LA, if you live in New York City, that's more like 300. Okay, but in most places, and then of course, I'm talking about the United States. Obviously, Canadian dollars, it's different. Mexico, it's going to be different. And then, Europe and the rest of the world, it's different. Yeah, I understand that. But now that we're online, it doesn't matter that you're in Bangladesh or in Tokyo or here in the States. It's starting to homogenize. Everything's starting to level out into an area, and that 150 looks like a place. But there is a formula, but there's actually a couple of formulas, and we use this in life coaching to help people get to a goal. And we use the same process is the formula. So where do we start with a goal? We start with the goal, and the goal is out here, maybe 6 months in the future, 9 months, a year out, however long out it is. And then we work backwards. See, that's the main takeaway. If you take away nothing else, is that I want you to start thinking of your own value and your own needs versus what, the guy that's charging $40 for a reading, on the corner. What are your needs? So that's when the formula comes into play. What you're going to do is you're going to figure out, first of all, you have to decide, am I a part-time tarot reader or am I full-time? I'm mostly talking about full-time. If you want to make this a full-time gig, right? How much do you need? How much do you spend? And then add a buffer per month times 12. That's how much you need, and that could be any amount. That could be 700, that could be $75,000 a year. It could be 100,000, it could be 50,000. Maybe you only need 35,000, whatever it is. That's your goal. So you're not thinking about what I'm charging per reading. Instead, you're thinking, I need to make a living. I need to keep the lights on, the roof over my head. I pay this much for rent or for a mortgage, my car, my insurance, my electricity, on and on and on. You were talking about those subscriptions, right? Add up all your subscriptions, because, I think of electricity as a subscription. In fact, the way we have ours set up, it's a set amount each month. So everything's a subscription. Okay, how much are all these damn subscriptions costing you? Clear your car's even a subscription, that $500 a month payment you're paying. I think I heard recently in the US, the average payment is now in the $700 to $800 a month range. Oh my.
We got a question on YouTube at the bottom. Go down there.
Oh, I
I'm
got to
pretty
scroll
sure
down.
it's Dr. Rose. And this is, you know what? You're talking about by the minute, but whenever you think about it, like all of these different reading companies, Keen,
Mhm.
California Psychic, all this, it depends on the reader's skill level as to what they're charging by the minute, I think is what it is. Because they take a cut, right? I
Right.
know Bonnie
And
works for one of them. And I
yeah, well,
checked with them.
when you're on a platform, generally you're picking the amount.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
yeah, and
Exactly.
so in this model that I'm giving, that's Dr. Rose in there, by the way. And
Oh, hi. Hey, Rose.
in this model, you can still use this model even per minute. And the way you do it is you're calculating backwards, and let me get the calculator. Okay. And we'll do some examples, and then and this stuff is just totally arbitrary because it depends on what you're going to come up with, as your goal. By the way, I want to do the 100,000 one in a minute, because in entrepreneurship, the base minimum goal for almost all entrepreneurs is to reach that $10,000 a month, at least $100,000 a year mark. They call it six figures because it's six figures. You want to get into the six figures. So can you do that as a tarot reader? Yes, you can. And I'm going to show you an example in just a minute. But let's start with $50,000. So if I divide by 12, this is USD by. So that's $4,166 a month. There are 4.25 months, weeks in each month. But just to make it easy, I'm just going to divide by 4. That's 1,041. Now, here's the rest of the formula. How many clients do you want to see? It's that simple. How many days do you want to work? Do you want to work 7 days a week? Do you want to work 5? Let's say you want to work 5 days a week and you only want to see 2 clients in a day, maybe 3. But let's go with 2, because that's a nice even 10, right? So if we divide by 10, we get 104. There's your base. You want to be charging $104 for a reading. Now, I didn't say per hour or per minute or per half hour. That's for you to figure out. I don't put time on my readings. Generally, a reading will take 20 to 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes. And if it takes a little longer, whatever, I'm not going to charge more. Now, if they want to sit down and chat with me for 2 hours, yeah. Now it's 200 instead of 208 instead of 104. But that's just and I'm not saying this is what you should charge. Remember, what was the minimum I mentioned in the very beginning? 150. So this is just to give you an idea of how to start calculating things. And now going to Dr. Rose's question, well, what does that mean for somebody that's on a service? Well, it's very, very simple. You're just going to take how much you're going to charge for an hour. Let's instead of this example, let me go back to that. If I can get it to erase, let me go back to that 150 and let me divide it by 60 minutes in an hour. Okay. So that's a bare minimum of $2.50 per minute. Okay. Now you're not going to be on the line all the time for an entire hour with each person that you're reading for. These may be 5-10 minute readings, 20-minute readings, what have you. So there's 2 factors. One is you want to add a buffer. I'm going to put at least $1 in there. Now you have to think of the platform is taking a fee times 2. So I got 7. And again, that's arbitrary. It's whatever you figure out. But yeah, you got to be charging 5, 6, 7, 8, $9 per minute, because half of that's going to the platform. And don't get mad at the platform, because where's that money going? Advertising. Yeah, they're paying to bring those people into that website, California Psychics, Uranum, Keen, Kasamba, things like that. But you need to get your cut. Okay. So you need to figure out the bare minimum per minute in order to reach that amount, 40,000 a year, 50,000 a year, whatever that is. And so, yeah, to answer your question, well, we did already, but just to reinforce it, Dr. Rose, is uh, I know that you may be looking at doing some services, and that's great. And if you're going to do per minute, I know you're going to use Hipsy, and that's not a service like Aranum and California Psychics and Keen and so forth. That's a platform that allows you, yeah, and you build your own audience on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, whatever, Facebook, and you
I
go
just
on there
mentioned
live.
Hipsy.
Right, right. You go on there live, and then you give them the Hipsy link, and they go there, and they can buy readings while you're live, but they can also book sessions, and you're able to charge on Hipsy per session, like I do, X amount per reading. There's that 150 again. Or you can charge per minute. And that's what Dr. Rose is talking about. So what you want to do is, how much do I need to make? And then cut that down. Here's a faster way of doing it, instead of doing it divide by 12, blah, 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 blah. 52 weeks in the year, divide by 52. Do you want a vacation? The US, we take the least amount of vacation across the entire globe, a couple weeks. Take 2 weeks out, divide by 50. That is a nice round number. So figure out how many clients you want to see in a week instead of a month. Do it weekly, divide by 50, then divide by the number of clients. If it's just 5 clients that you want to see in a week, let me do the 51 real quick here.
Okay, but
50.
let me throw this out there. Do not advertise this is how much I charge per minute if you're just reading for the public or setting up, hanging out
Right.
your shake, whatever, because some moron's going to come over and say, okay, I want a 5 minute reading. And you're going, no, you have to set a minimum on that, a very minimum.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Because
She's
if you
just
don't,
talking about, she wants to send people to the Hipsy platform.
oh, yeah, definitely that.
And
But I'm
and when you're
expanding on
doing
it.
lives, let me explain. When you're doing lives on Hipsy, it's different. You're not doing per minute. Instead, you give them a special link where they go to, and they're able to buy packages. Like you can have just one offering, a reading X amount, or you can have 5 different readings that are all priced differently. Anyway,
Mhm.
whatever you want to do, 4, 3, they pick what they want, they book it. And what's cool about Hipsy is you're live on YouTube. It has nothing to do with Hipsy. You're on YouTube, you're on TikTok, you're on Instagram, you're live on Facebook, and you're talking to your people, and you send them to this link. They go over to Hipsy, to your page. They choose one of those. But what's really cool about Hipsy is, in the background, it's putting a list of each client, what they've bought. And then as you do their reading live on air, you click, okay, that person's done, click, that person's done. Oh, this person left, I'll refund them. Click. There's another button just to say, no, I'm not doing that reading. Either you don't want to answer that question because it's out of your code of ethics, or they've left, or some weird thing happens. You can actually decline, and it just automatically gives them their money back. And then the other ones, you're doing check mark, click. There's a button you push, click, 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 click. Okay, I did all those. And so that's what she's talking about. So there's both ways. Also, you can have your own website, your own page on tarotbiz.com with your own buy buttons. And yeah, you want to have a set amounts. And there's another reason, which I wanted to get into a little later, that and I actually have a link to a video that I want you to watch from this. Oh my God, the universe is amazing. I have never searched this topic or anything on YouTube. I'm on YouTube. The way I wind down is I get the show all set up, and it's a lot of work, and then I go, okay, I'm just gonna I'm just going to doom scroll. I'm going to watch a couple of 10-minute YouTube videos to get my mind off of the show. And in my feed, this YouTube video pops up that's talking almost identical what we're talking about right now. Not in the same words, not talking about pricing readings even, but it's pricing and luxury and how clients see you and things like. I want you to watch this video. It's really fantastic. But a little later on, I wanted to go into now I forgot what I was talking about. I wanted to go into that topic that just came up, and now I can't think of what it is.
Price.
Pricing. What'd you say? You cut out.
Pricing by the minute. Pricing by the minute, and I have a minimum.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Okay, so
Okay.
what it is how people look at you. How people look at you. Yeah. So they're going to perceive more value, uh someone charging a flat rate as opposed to per minute. Now, if you're working on these services, like Bonnie Shveda's and Rose might do, and a few other people, Mary has been on Keen for like a decade. Um, I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about, don't charge per minute. Don't do those services. No, I'm saying in addition to this, your public facing persona, which is your page on tarotbiz.com or your website and or your social media. Okay, that you have to express value, and you can't be going, hey, get a reading with me, I charge only $3 a minute. You can't do that. They're gonna want a $20 reading. You've got and there's other things in my notes that I haven't gotten to yet, like better clients, less clients, all that. We'll get to that in a second. In fact, this might be a nice dovetail into that, because I just did what if you only want to do 5 clients a week, and using the per week calculation versus the annual, which then you also have to figure out weekly or do it as a monthly. So instead of doing monthly, we're doing weekly. I said, you're going to take 2 weeks off, 50 weeks in the year. You need 50,000. You divide that in, you get 1,000. You need $1,000 a week. You divide by 5, that's $200. Now you know what you're going to charge your clients, $200 per client. Okay. And that dovetails nicely into the other part of this conversation, which is charging more. Okay. And it's how you're perceived, like we were just talking about. They're going to perceive more value. And another big takeaway, maybe even more important, is you're going to get better clients and you need less of them. And less clients means you can spend more time and effort per client. Imagine if you have to get that same $1,000. Let's divide it by $25. You need to see 40 clients in that week instead of 5. You're going to get burnt out. How much effort can you really put in, right? So by charging more, you get a higher quality client, because now they're invested. They're not giving you a $20 bill. They are investing $200, and they're going to listen to every word that drips off your lips. They are invested now. You need less clients, and you have higher quality clients, and you don't have the tire kickers. You save yourself from all of that. Even at $150 for a reading, you're going to save yourself. And trust me, there are psychics out there. In fact, I bookmarked. I want to get with you, Dr. Rose, and Michelle, and whoever else. I want to do a Zoom call to show you guys some examples, and then maybe we can do a workshop on this. Handful of people that I found who started their YouTube channel a year ago or less, like 10 months, or they've been doing it 8 months or what have you. And they have in the tens of thousands of followers, and their videos are watched a minimum 2 to 5,000 per video views. Some of them are in the millions of views. What are they doing? What kind of video is worth that much attention? All they're doing is pulling some cards and giving a message, just like I do at the beginning of every show. That's all they're doing. And these people, when you contact them privately for a private reading, they're in the $400 to $500 range per reading. And no, they're not world famous. You don't know who they are. They're not a Pamela Steele, you know.
Hmm?
I couldn't think of anybody, off the top of my head. Rachel Pollack, it's like, who's famous in tarot?
Mary
The
Kay Greer.
Mary Kay Greer, the Amber Stones. I'm just trying to think of people. They're actually now. I'm so out of um, I'm so out of touch that I'm thinking of 20 years ago, because there are like these young famous authors and decorators that are out there now that everybody knows except me. I don't know them because you would think, because this is like our industry, but I'd have to actually look them up to, who are they again? Yeah, whoever's
Well,
the big name
what
on
I'm finding too
the.
is in this day and age, a lot of it's kind of like a flash in the pan.
Mhm.
Um, Somebody writes a book or does a deck or whatever, and there's this big thing, and everybody buys a copy, and then in 3 months there's a different shiny, and they go there,
Oh
and
yeah,
their attention span is less than a butterfly in a field of daisies. It's just not there. And it's really important in order to build and hold your clientele to keep it fresh and keep it interesting. Because if you don't, you're going to lose them to the next shiny that's right there.
exactly, exactly. So, let me check my notes. Is there anything that I missed? Watch that video. And by the way, let me grab this URL and let me put it up there. I made a bit.ly so it's short. Okay, so if you guys have never used bit.ly, it's shortens big things down. So I shortened this YouTube down, and it's bit.ly/ and then whatever the name is. So bit.ly bit.ly/luxury pricing. And I'm going to put that in the chat here on the show. And I want you to watch this video. And no, it's not tarot, but and I'm glad I found this guy, because he's got some really interesting videos, and I have not watched more than that one video. But he has everything from the psychology of luxury and pricing, the art of small talk. He teaches people basically to work with the elite, you know, and selling products to the elite. But it can be used at even our level. Okay. Emotional versus rational. I'm looking at some of his videos here. And let's see, his oldest video is 4 years ago. Most popular has 500,000 views. And he has an English accent. I'm pretty sure he's in UK. I'm not sure 100%, but the universe sent me this video for a reason. They want professional tarot readers to look at this and watch this. And I think you're going to get a lot out of it. It really shows you the psychology. He starts off talking about a ham sandwich he got at a coffee shop that I guess the locals know, and it was $14. and he talks about, like, for instance, the barista came over and had to explain the bread and how it's handmade and all this kind of, stuff like this. And he talks about how entrepreneurs shoot themselves in the foot by um, justifying the price. He said, true luxury, you don't justify the price. If you walk into a Lamborghini dealership, you know what it's going to cost, and there's no price haggling, and the representative doesn't come up to you and go, okay, let me show you the fantastic features, and why you should spend $600,000 on this car. They don't need to. They don't need to. And even as a tarot reader, you can get to that point. If you start a YouTube channel and you build it up, and some of these channels that I was, just talking about, I've bookmarked a bunch of them so we can share them on screen at some other point. The show's almost over. No time to do it right now, but 100,000, 300,000. Some of them have millions of subscribers. They're just tarot readers, And when you get to that level, you don't go, I charge $300 a session. And in the session, I'm doing this and doing that and giving you this value and giving you that value. No, they don't justify the price. The price is the price. And the price is the price because of your value. And your value is not real, it's perception. And I think the last takeaway in that video is him talking about that sometimes luxury and the perception of value comes down to just the price and the pricing. That's all. So I think he talks in the video about he's working with a client, and this is no slouch. This is somebody that has millions of followers across all the social media and is famous and has a book out and everything like that. But she was only charging $60 a session. Not tarot, but she was a coach or something like that. Anyway, he sat her down, talked to her. First thing out of his mouth was, from this minute on, your sessions are $300. And that's where we're going to start. $300 a session. That's it. And she was her calendar was booked. She was seeing a lot of people, but at $60 a session, she wasn't making money like she should have been. She had more expenses than she had money, she was saying. And it made no sense. And he talks about how the problem wasn't her offering or her coaching. And she had the following and the social media and the YouTube channel and the TikTok and the Instagram and millions of people following her and buying her book and everything like that. The problem was the perception. So she jumped her rate up to $300 a session, and her number of sessions, went way down, but she started making way more money. And her reputation went up and up and up because perception of luxury and value due to pricing. And we can do the same thing. We don't need to charge $20, $40, $50 for a reading just because everybody else out there is doing it. You don't have to, let me go back in time real quick and just say about these per minute and, going on California Psychics. And on some of these websites, there's an average. You see some lower price people in the $250 per minute range. And then you see most people in this $4 to $5 range. But then you come across a few people that are up there like $9, $10 a minute. And talk about perceived value. This is just something that went in and out of my head real quick. It was meaningless at the time, but now that I think about it, I'm looking at this, I'm looking at the prices, and then I see someone charging $9.99 a minute. What is my first thought? I want to get a reading with this person. Why are they worth $9.99 a minute and everybody else is charging $4.50 a minute? I want to know. Or $4.99 a minute or $2.50 a minute. Right away, I want to know why. Anyway, so that's it for let me go back to now. I can't find anything. That's because I have my screen up on top of my other screen. Okay. And Pam said her computer was about to die. I was wondering where Pam went. We're at the end of the show anyway. I'm glad you were here with me, Pamela. And Michelle, Dr. Rose, I want to get on a Zoom call for like 10 minutes and just show you these links that I found and talk to you about some of this. It's just astounding. Yeah. So I'm just going to look here real quick. And Dr. Rose says she's available. Cool. Michelle, are you available? If you are, let us know. Michelle had said back when I was talking about, doing a workshop around what I'm going to talk to them in private about. She said, yes, we need that. and Dr. Rose was like, I want to meet with you to discuss pricing. Yeah, if you need help figuring out your pricing and you're a member, just message me and I'll get on a Zoom with you. Yeah. And remember, our premium members get 2 hours of support monthly. And that could be anything. I can help you with your pricing, setting up your Hipsy, setting up your stand store, setting up a tarotbiz.com page for you, a full-blown website. When you're at the premium level, $15 a month, your hosting of an entire website is free. And we charge a small setup fee, and that's it. Not $5,000 to build your website, but you could use it for anything. You want me to pull cards on your business? You want to talk about pricing? You want to talk about your sessions and how you're doing them, and other modalities that you want to blend in? How to do that with tapping, hypnosis, life coaching? How to blend that in with tarot? Any of those things? Yeah. Michelle's watching the kids, so she's not available right now. But hey, we'll get on with you, Michelle, on a day that you're free, maybe Tuesday, something like that. Dr. Rose, after the show, let me pop on with you. And just before we get off, I want to scroll back and see if there was anything I missed. Maria said hi. Yay. And let's see, I said hi to Astrid. I think that's it. So we can get out of here. I hope you got a lot out of this show. I hope at least I want you to think about it. And remember the big takeaway. The big takeaway is, what's your value? Value yourself and your service. Don't start off thinking about what I should charge per minute, per hour, for my readings. Instead, look at the value of the service that you do. If you do a reading for a business owner and the advice you give them helps them add $100,000 gross to their bottom line, what's that worth? A business consultant would charge 10 grand for that. So I just want you to start thinking about that. If you do love readings, like Valentine's Day yesterday, if you do love readings, what's that worth? Relationship, that's priceless. Think of the value, and then also think of your needs. I got to keep a roof over my head. I got to pay for the electricity. I got to pay for all those subscriptions. Okay, my cable, my internet, my car, my insurance, the gasoline, or hopefully you're on electric, the power to power your Tesla. Um, what are all your expenses, and your food and groceries? Everything's going up, right? Just pad that in, just like get an amount and find out how much you need to make a year or a month, and then figure out how many clients you need or want to service in that amount of time, and just divide it. And that's your fee. $199 a session. That's your fee. So I hope this helped you all out. And I want to just quickly remind everybody, Tarot Tuesdays is coming up this Tuesday, February 17th, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern U.S. time. And then that private Q&A coaching and coffee session, that private Zoom call that I mentioned for our members, Thursday, February 19th, same time, same bat channel, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. You'll find all the Zoom links to the private sessions and everything we've been talking about today on our new school community, private community for our members. $5 to join. Go over to tarotbiz.com. I'll put that up one more time, because when you click the join button, it'll take you right over to the school to sign up to our school community. Tarotbiz.com has all the information and the course and certification. Everything is on our main website there. All righty. So see you all on Tuesday. Bye, everyone.